Hello and welcome to the Ending Body Burnout Show. We are your hosts, Chris and Philly, co-founders of a multi-award-winning functional medicine practice, serving busy people with energy, mood, and gut issues.
While busyness, addictive doing, people-pleasing, and perfectionism might be the norm, it's not normal, and it's a major contributor to health issues.
Our goal with this show is to give you a holistic root cause approach to healing your body so that you don't have to continue doctor or diet hopping or popping a gazillion supplements hoping something might stick.
So get ready to heal your body, get your spark back, deeply connect with yourself, and step into the life of your dreams.
Let's dive in.
Hello, welcome to the podcast. Today we have 2 episodes for you this week, actually. I don't know if you've noticed, but usually we drop podcast episodes every Tuesday. But we literally just recorded this podcast with our beautiful client, Amanda Schembri, who is 4 months into her Ending Body Burnout journey. And I'm like, I really just want to share it straight away because it was such a beautiful conversation as she shared what her healing journey has looked like inside our Ending Body Burnout Method. So a little bit about what we talked about. Amanda came to us feeling like her body was screaming at her. She had really high inflammation levels. She had body pain, weight gain, and this had been going on for decades on and off. But things really got worse about 10 years ago post having a relationship breakdown, as well as the pressures of starting her own business. And she is a kinesiologist, a beautiful kinesiologist. I'll actually read her official bio shortly because she's an amazing woman and healer herself. And over her journey, she really had focused on a lot of the emotional and energetic parts of herself through past healing work and had definitely responded to those, but she just felt like there was a missing piece, that she wasn't focusing on her physical body or looking at her physical body through a specific lens. And that is why she reached out to us to join our Ending Body Burnout Method back in January. She actually really felt called to do that. And the most phenomenal thing happened that night. She joined our program, and then overnight 50% of her inflammation and physical sensations improved, which is just like mind-blowing and such a beautiful piece of evidence for her that she was on the right track and that she was going to get the support that she needed to heal her physical body. So in this episode today, Amanda dives into what it looked like to dive wholeheartedly into our Ending Body Burnout Method. And what's really interesting about Amanda is that she hasn't yet done the lab testing supplement side of things of our method. That, there might be a future focus for that. But she really went into the metaphysical healing through the lens of healing her physical body. And she had this big belief that her body can heal, and the results speak for themselves. So I'm really excited for you to hear this beautiful podcast episode. A little bit about Amanda. She is a kinesiologist who has spent over a decade helping women with emotional and energetic freedom. And her work is deeply rooted in getting to the core story that they carry in this lifetime and clearing it permanently, which allows them to finally feel free and empowered and deeply connected to who they are. She has over 20 years of experience in healing and transformation, and her message is to not push harder, but clear the resistance that's been silently running the show. She works with women through one-on-one sessions, workshops, and deep transformational journeys where the only thing she guarantees is change. So she already came into our program with so much wisdom, so much of her own embodied experience. So I know that not only will this episode, as you're listening to it, help you to see that healing is possible, and also to give you an insight into a client client's experience of working through the steps in our method, but also she has so much beautiful wisdom to share around the holistic healing process. So if you really resonate with her story and you're seeking a deep, holistic root cause healing approach to end your body burnout, now is your time, wonderful person. So doors to our Ending Body Burnout Method do open next week on the 21st of May. That's the Wednesday. But for those on our wait list, you get a 48-hour early bird access to join early, which is the benefit of that will be that you can secure a spot. Our program isn't a group coaching program. It isn't just a course, although these are elements inside our program. Both of the options of working through the Ending Body Burnout Method does have one-on-one consulting and coaching, root cause coaching support. So we do only have limited spaces. And I think last time I checked, there are about 150 people on the wait list, and we can only allow in 30 max. So jump on the wait list if you're keen. You can join early. Also, when you join early, you get $500 worth of early bird bonuses for those who are on the wait list and join early. And also, our prices for our Ending Body Burnout Method will be increasing next intake. So if you're jumping on the wait list and you're joining up early, you will save up to $1,700 before the prices increase. And we haven't increased the price for the program for a very long time. And yeah, the value and the value that you receive, and also more importantly the results that you can create for yourself inside the method, is definitely worth the dollars that you put into it and the time and the energy. And one last thing, if you really resonate with this episode and previous episodes that you've listened to, and you're kind of like sitting on the fence around the program, is it going to be right for you? I definitely invite you to come along to our free coaching week next week. So we do a free coaching week during launch week when we open the doors for 1 week, as a way for you to be able to experience what it's like to work with us. Do you vibe with Chris and I? And to really viscerally, experientially experience what it's like to work through our method. So on day one, we're going to focus more on the body system. So what body systems can go out of whack that are causing your body burnout symptoms and inflaming the brain. On day 2, we're going to go deep into the root cause of body burnout, and that's where we're going to step more into coaching you live on the workshop. And then on day 3, it's more of practicing, so experiential practicing to help you switch off symptoms using the power of your brain and your unconscious mind, and essentially becoming your own self-healer. So we're so excited to be able to put that on. Even if you're not interested in working with us, or you can't afford it, or now is not the right time, you'll still get so much value from our free coaching week, as we've had so many attendees share feedback around the things that they experienced and even the transformations that they had. So anyway, I'm going to pop all of that in the show notes, so you can join the wait list, join the Ending Body Burnout at the link. You can also join our free coaching week, and I've also popped Amanda's website link in there too. All right, let's get into today's episode.
Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of the Ending Body Burnout Show. We have a special guest for you today. We have Amanda. Today we're going to have a chat to Amanda. She's one of our clients. So we love having these conversations because we get to hear from somebody else about the Ending Body Burnout Method rather than you hearing it from Philly and I. You get to hear it from somebody who's actually going through the method. Challenges and wins, successes, or the journey along the way. So it's going to be a good conversation. Thanks for coming, Amanda.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. So that, a listener listening to this would have just heard me talk about you and your official bio, but maybe just to kick off, can you share who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into the health journey side of things.
Do you know that's the third time this week I've been asked who I am, and I always find that a really super fascinating question. I'm in my 50s. Um, I I believe in love, actually. That's who I am
Love
ultimately.
Actually.
Yeah.
Like the
Um,
movie. I love it.
yeah, and my life has been about undoing all the things
Mm.
so that I can live that more wholeheartedly. That's where I really sit. So I'm a kinesiologist. I have my own healing modality practice. And I do that online, and I do as much as I can to enjoy simple pleasures every day. That's pretty much, a nice little summary of who I am.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Love.
Love.
Which I think, well, let's dive into the health journey side of things because it is like I think about it. Sometimes people come to us, and this is probably like for clients for you as well, where it's like, I have this pain, make it go away, want it gone, fix it. But at the end of the day, a deep healing journey is writing the most beautiful love story
Mhm.
with and for yourself. And so it's like a beautiful way to start off this conversation. Okay, so I find that most practitioners who we speak to, who might reach out to us to work with us as well, or who we have on the podcast, who are colleagues, often have their own healing journey as to why they ended up in this natural healing, holistic space in the first place. So, are you happy to go right back to the start when your health journey and your healing journey started? What did that look like? When was it? What symptoms were showing up? What was happening in your life?
I feel like there's two major kind of, I suppose, junctures in my timeline and my healing journey. So, I had a like a big trauma event when I was a kid and I lost my dad, which really impacted our family. It just ricocheted through our family for lots of different reasons. And um, I was 7 at the time. And so that 7 through to 13 period, I really wasn't present. I just kind of suppressed everything that was going. I didn't know what was going on. Um, and yeah, 13 is kind of the first point where I felt like I kind of woke up and I was in this kind of grief. And so there was a really kind of lot of reconciliation for me. And in that period of waking up, I woke up and I was overweight. When I was struggling, my self-esteem was super low.
Mm.
I was a teen trying to figure everything out, right? So it
Mm.
was pretty chaotic at best. And I just was kind of, going along with what I thought best to do or what everybody else was doing. I didn't have a good sense of myself. Um, and in saying that, like I was super committed, but I was super committed. When I say I was super committed to, losing weight and being healthy and being the best version of myself I could be. But it was all really coming from a self-loathing place. And so that was kind of the first kind of, introduction into that. That's the first kind of conscious
Mm.
memory I have of like my health and my healing and my body and who I was.
Mm.
Um, and that carried me right through to like, my teens and then into my early 20s. And, just kind of going along and wasn't very happy and was dieting a lot, was always kind of like yo-yo going up and down. But I think because of my age at that time, your body's so good at adapting, right? And it's newer in the adaptation phase. It's not got like 50 years of adaptation, and it's kind of doing its best to um, metabolize everything. And so the effects, other than the weight, I wasn't feeling any other effects. And probably emotionally, I was feeling a lot of effects. And then it was probably around my 30s where I started, yeah, it was around my 30s into my 30s is when I really started my emotional healing journey. I kind of had a lot of awakenings around the impact of what that trauma event meant for me. And
Mm.
so I really started unraveling that and spent a good 10 years in that space of like really understanding the impact and what that looked like. And yeah, starting to make peace with all of it and
Mm.
understand it and myself.
Yeah.
And then it was like my early 40s, where I decided to start my own business, and well, go into a healing arts myself, because I had such a profound experience of what it was like when you started working with everything that was inside of you.
Everyone
That
should know this.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'd had a firsthand experience of the impact, and then what it felt like when you started like lifting the lid and started kind of like reconciling all of these feelings. And thankfully, I just found the modality that helped me do that, right? Um, so it was around my 40s, where I had started going into, I had a total career change. I left my job, I left everything. I was in a secure relationship, and literally within weeks, everything fell apart. Like my marriage fell apart. And there was kind of things happening beforehand, but that
Mm.
happened. So starting a business on my own, it just literally brought up everything, like that whole
Mm.
timeline. It kind of
Mm.
like put a new marker on my timeline, and I was in pain. I was in physical pain. I was inflamed. I was angry. I had chronic fatigue. It's limitless. I still had forms of depression.
Mm.
Um, my weight was really, I was putting on more and more weight. Um, and I was, it was like grieving the loss of a relationship, and at the same time trying to establish a new business all
Mm.
on my own. And, that was kind of one of my deepest fears, of doing things on my own. So
Mm.
I had all these physical symptoms, and, I saw
It's not
naturopaths.
safe.
Right. I wasn't, I didn't feel safe at
Yeah.
all. And just literally, I felt like I was falling down a big black hole.
Mm. Wow. Okay, that's huge.
Yeah.
So I remember no business in the back in the day, and until I did some deep work, and we'll get into what that looks like inside our Ending Body Burnout Method. But it is like, it can bring up so much stuff for different reasons for different people. But yeah, totally resonating with what you said. It's scary. It's like risk taking, and especially if you came from you were getting, like, you were an employee, so you had that nice 9 to 5 regular income, probably another other people working with you to support you, and then this happens, and then also at the same time, or very closely, you also lost a marriage. That's
Mm,
huge. Like two
mm,
massive things that I could imagine your whole system would have been, yeah, I whispered, you're not safe, because from an insecurity point of view, both financially, but then also deeper wounds coming up around that time. It's huge.
mm.
We talk
Yeah.
about new levels of growth as well. So I thought I'd just mention this because you had already done so much work, and you'd responded to the things that you had done too. So it wasn't like anything that you had done in the past wasn't enough or didn't work. It's just that you had a new level of growth in your life, and big things happened to
Mm,
then cause the safety signal in your body to say, not safe, got to figure some things out.
mm.
And is this the point that you reached out to us, or what was happening that kind of was I think you came along to our webinar, and maybe through Facebook gods, we found each other.
It was Facebook gods, because I literally, so it was 10 years. So 40 was around the time my marriage ended, and I started my own practice.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably like 10 years on when I
Mm.
came to you guys, because it was 10 years of like really trying to figure it all out,
Yeah.
right? Of going to different modalities and all the rest of it.
Mm.
Um, when I came to you guys, I just made this like silent little prayer of like, I just didn't know what to do. I had kind of done all the things. I'd been to naturopaths, I'd been to Chinese herbalists, and and I was looking at functional medicine,
Mm.
and I was tired of doing it on my own. And
Yeah.
I was just like, the silent prayer I sent up was like, I just want support. I
Mm.
just don't want to have to figure out this on my own, because I had been figuring it out on my own for so long.
Mm.
And I was having all these physical flare-ups where, you know, what I was doing wasn't touching the surface. And so honestly, like I think I came on like the day before you guys did the workshop or the masterclass, and I was, and I don't even know how I found you, and so I think it was through the Facebook gods.
Usually it is if someone's like, I can't remember how I found you, but I found you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I really like, there's so many clients who have shared their story on our podcast, but also who haven't. Like, I really do feel like the people who lean in wholeheartedly and get great results are the ones that like follow their intuition,
Mm,
not just hastily make a decision of like, oh, quick, I'm like desperately needing to do something. It's actually
mm,
like, you know what? I'm seeking something and this feels aligned, even if it might feel scary and there might be a bunch of reasons why now is not the right time or you can't afford it or whatever. But when you can drop into that heart space and the deeper part of you that wants the best for you, it's like
mm,
anytime you listen to yourself, only good things are going to happen.
mhm.
So,
And it was super interesting because there's 5 bodies when we talk about healing, right? There's like mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual, physical. And so I really felt like I had hit 4 of them.
mm,
And I had this epiphany where I was like, oh my God, physical, like, yes, I've dieted. Yes, I've done all these things to like look after my physical body, but I hadn't looked at healing my physical body. I had done it really emotionally, energetically, mentally, spiritually. I had hit all of those,
mm,
those kind of bodies, but I hadn't focused on physical. So that was something that was really apparent to me when well, part of the reason why I joined you guys and became more clear as I worked through your process. I was like, I hadn't looked at healing through the physical body, which is what I love about you
mm.
guys.
That's so interesting. And I think it comes to the like really diving into how you then did heal because like if someone, a client, most clients will do the complete process, which will be all the deep root cause, what we call the metaphysical work, and then lab testing, supplements, and there might be some dietary lifestyle stuff if and as needed based on the person. And sometimes people skip the lab testing side of things for whatever reason, and it's like, all right, cool, let's like mission number one is like let's get to the root cause. So
Mm,
what was it? Because the work that you have done to address your body and your health issues has still been in what I would call the realm of the metaphysical.
mm.
So I'm just curious, like what were the missing pieces that it's like, oh, I can still use mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual healing, rewiring, reprogramming, but was it more like your attention then was focused on experiencing physical change?
Can you ask that a different way, Philly?
I don't really even know what I'm asking.
That makes me feel better for asking that question.
So physically, so when you said I'd worked on the other bodies, but my physical body I hadn't yet. Was it more that you felt pulled to a process that focused on body burnout, so like the physical body, but the work that you did, I actually wouldn't say it was very physical. It was still
Uh-huh.
metaphysical. Yeah. I'm just
It's true.
curious in terms of like, was there a missing piece there for you that it's like, oh, okay, I can take everything that I do know and that I have seen changes in, and now I'm amplifying that into the physical body?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a complex question. So, but I think that like what you're asking for me, I hadn't looked at my healing through my physical body. I'd only looked at, oh, I feel less than, or I feel a lack mentality, or I feel this. And so I would deep dive from that, like from an emotional perspective, but I'd never looked at. So when I found you guys, my physical symptoms, like I had high inflammation, that was the biggest thing. Um, and I was looking at all, I was kind of like looking at all these avenues, like, where do I go with this? Who's going to help me? Like, what, like, I know I've got this problem. I don't know what to do with it.
Mm,
Um, what's the next thing? And so when I found you guys, the functional medicine and the metaphysical, it's really interesting because I thought my focus I was like, oh, the functional testing, that's the piece I've been looking for, right? And I was, oh, I get both. Great, win-win, right?
Yeah.
But actually what's happened is when I entered your program, I've actually gone the metaphysical on my physical, right? And I hadn't looked at my healing from that lens before.
Yeah.
I hadn't looked at the root cause behind my weight. I knew it was protection, but I hadn't really deep dove on that. I had done it in lots of different kind of round the tree, not through.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Okay. So to get to end your body burnout, you must get to the root cause, not just the root cause, but the root cause. So in functional medicine, like standard functional medicine, it's talked about as root cause medicine, which I do agree to. But what I found when I was only practicing standard functional medicine, where it was like, yeah, we're kind of getting to some roots, but not like the deep root. So functional medicine kind of stops at lifestyle really as root causes and stress, but not really at a deeper level in terms of what actually is driving this stress response in your body in the first place. So really the first step to getting to the root cause is to be aware of all the dysfunctional patterns that are showing up, and every pattern is going to have, so whether that's a symptom or a behavioral pattern or a thought pattern, is going to have a belief underneath. And then the next job is to really get to that deepest root cause belief. What did that first part of that journey look like for you?
What did it look like for me? I felt I was surprised because I was like, oh, I hadn't looked at myself from this lens before. So that was actually really surprising for me. And I felt relief. Like I just felt relief because I didn't have to figure it out. You guys have got the structure there. I just had to do a module every day.
Yeah.
It was sort of easy from that perspective, right? And I, the relief was massive. And it was revealing, right? I got to see, I was like, I know that one of the core beliefs that I have always carried is that through the trauma that I experienced, that I wasn't enough, right? So, and I had always had an inkling about the not lovable, right? But I always looked at the not enough. So going through your process, it really revealed this like not lovable piece, and also too, that I wasn't going to be okay. And so it was new information, it's a new information from a different perspective that I hadn't seen before with such clarity. And that, like, to me, that's like, I'm like, give me more, like, I'm just like,
let me munch into that.
Yeah. It's like, because I know the benefit on the other side. Yeah. It's freedom. And that's ultimately what I'm seeking. It's what we're all seeking, right?
Yeah. I had a session recently with a client, and I was just like, wow, how have you missed getting to the deepest root cause belief? It was almost, how did I miss you missing it? and she kind of almost finished, we call it the metaphysical healing, just for those who are listening, the spark process. So we've got answers, spark and shine, and they all align with lab testing, physical healing, lifestyle healing, and then the metaphysical healing. But she's kind of stuck too. And when I dug into some coaching around where's the stuck piece, it's like that young version of herself still hasn't been seen or heard. So this clarity of like the role of getting to, or the healing piece, the transformation of getting to the deepest root cause belief and seeing it with laser clarity, and you've done the digging work to get there, isn't at all to traumatize you or to make you feel even worse. It's literally that this part of you finally gets to be seen and heard by you, and probably for the first time ever in that like unique and very special and healing way. And also it's unraveling all the many years and decades of trying to run away and hide and manage it. So like I love the word of relief. Was the relief when you found the deepest root cause belief, and what was, or was the relief even just starting and it's like, oh, I've got a step-by-step process and I know I'll get the result as I lean in and follow the process?
I think the relief was in two parts. So the minute I signed up to your program, my symptoms halved
Wow.
overnight.
Wow.
Like signing up, and
Amazing.
I was like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm in the right place. Like my,
Wow.
my body's giving me the cue that like that was I had been my Achilles, I had ruptured both of my Achilles.
Mm,
And that pain went over, like reduced 50% overnight, and the same with my
amazing.
inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was relief, right? I was like, that was the second part of the relief. It was like, I don't have to figure this out. I
Mm,
get to follow a process. I get to be in somebody else's hands instead of trying to figure it out on my own. And that was the relief. And I would say, they were the two moments of relief, because then when I
mm,
started working through material and it started revealing, core beliefs, and, as you kind of start working, it was gratitude. I was just so grateful that I was revealing like different parts of me.
yeah. I love that. That's so cool. So interesting. This only just clicked in my brain that when we started the recording, the podcast, is, did you say, what were your exact words? I believe in love.
Yes.
Oh, and this old deepest root core wound is like, I'm unlovable. So
Right.
in a way, it's like you've always known it, because that's always what you've been seeking.
And my name actually means to be loved.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I feel like it's like a trifecta. It's like this because it's like love is the thing, even when I didn't feel loved.
Mm,
The desire of love, the wanting to have the experience of it, or knowing that I can be whatever this love looked like, I honestly, I think it's the thing that's kept me alive. It's the thing that kept me going, even when I felt it was hard, or even when I felt unloved. There was this belief in me that there was more than this. And, you
mm,
know, we know that there's always those two polarities. And I'm so grateful for that love really being kind of my compass,
mm,
because otherwise I would have drowned. I would have really got lost.
mm. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, you don't have to share this if you don't want to, but, and I can't remember from like your homework that you sent through. Do you remember the core memory in which that was formed? Was that like around your father's passing, or was that even beforehand?
Yeah, no, it was around my dad passing,
Yeah.
and then what happened as a consequence of that, like our family got ripped apart. I got separated from my dad's family. My mum was grieving, I was grieving.
Yeah.
My mum loves really differently to what my dad did, and I was more erred towards my dad. So everything
Mm,
that was familiar to me really got kind of ripped away.
mm,
And it started. I feel like such compassion when I hear that part. And that's what I really love about this work, actually, is because it allows me to be objective now and just see it as an event that happened
yeah. Yeah.
that was traumatic. And, to feel that compassion is super sweet to me,
Mm,
because I've repeated this kind of event in my life numerous times through my healing journey, but this is the first time actually I've mentioned it, and I've felt this real warmth of compassion towards
beautiful.
that part of me. So that really speaks to
Mm,
me.
that's so beautiful. That's like a little check-in point that I'll get clients to think about too. So when it's like, okay, how, like, is there still work to do around this core memory and this core belief?
Mm,
And like, this is helpful for listeners too. Like, I'll get them to close your eyes, think back to
mm,
that time, and what's the very first thing that you think about around that little girl or that little boy. And generally speaking, if there's still this stickiness around the core belief and there's still emotional charge, and that experience and that sense making hasn't been processed and cleared or let go of, then the first response is either fear, disappointment, pity, embarrassment, sadness, loneliness. But when your autonomic response becomes this like heartfelt compassion, love, awe, wonder, like far out, she was awesome. She was so wonderful to get through that. And I've been able to go back to rescue her and give her that, like give her the thing that she didn't have. And to also help her make better beliefs about herself, like literally to rewrite the story. So that's so cool. I love it.
Me too.
Me too. Do you have, before I ask the next question, do you have anything, you've been writing some little notes. Do you want to say anything, Chris?
Number one, I love that your name means to love. So I just checked out the etymology of that, the name Amanda. So that's actually really cool. I nerd out on etymology, and that
I love that. I love hearing what you're doing, Chris.
Yeah, that blew my mind. So Latin, amare, to love, and then I think that's fascinating how that's come full circle with beliefs about yourself as well. I'm fascinated by your journey. I can't remember. Did you say? And pardon me for asking, Amanda, how old were you when your dad passed away?
7.
7. You were 7. Sorry, I missed that. Okay. Yeah. So that's been and how old are you now ish?
How old am I? I was going to say 52. I think I'm 53. 52 or 53.
Yeah. I've rounded up this year.
Turning 27.
As soon as I turned 44 last year, I've pretty much been calling myself 45 because it's like rounded off. I'm not even 40.
You are 45, Chris.
Wait, am I?
Yes, because
You will be in June.
Huh?
He will be in June.
No. So here you go, right? So
Yeah.
when you're born, you start at 0, but when you celebrate your first birthday, you are 1, right? That's when you start clocking your age, right?
Oh,
I'm letting Chris catch up a sec.
Yeah, you can see my brain is just like, we talk numbers. You need to just make sure you're listening.
So you've already been you're at 1, you're going into your 2nd year.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So you're in your 45th year already.
Yeah.
And then we think about time in the womb.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. So,
segue.
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to nerd out on that too. That's giving me some other segues. I find it, I find your journey fascinating and also important as well. A couple of notes, they're not really questions. They're just calling a light on just stuff that you've said. Where when you started your business, that brought up everything. Everything's a lot. I always love hearing when the little words people say. So it brought up everything. Why was that? Why do you think business was the thing that was like the catalyst for bringing up everything? You know.
So I kind of want to answer that in 2 parts. The first part is that like I believe like the safety piece is the first piece, right? I mean, that's an essential need for us to feel safe. And so we're looking for that every day in everything that we're doing. We're looking for safety. And so I believe that, what I believe is that in my healing journey, up until that point, I was trying to get away from self-loathing, which meant that I wasn't really loving myself, right? And so that incident at 40, it ripped me apart for lots of different reasons, for the marriage ending, for the lost dreams, for the lost hope, like for what we committed to, right? And then when I say everything, that feeling unsafe in more than one life area at that time did bring up all the patterns that I had been suppressing. And they literally came up physically because it was too much for my system to handle,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of, does that answer your question, Chris?
Yeah. And how do you think business was I don't know. I'm just thinking of a pimple. I had a pimple. I had a pimple today. I woke up with a pimple. You can see it if you're watching the video. That's guys. This is Fred. Fred, guys. So there's if you got a pimple, you can put a little bit of pressure on it, and out it comes. So if business was your pimple, how was or why was business just the perfect squeeze for everything to come up? Like why business?
I don't think it was business alone. I think it was business and the marriage ending,
Yeah.
and it was safety and security, actually.
Oh yeah.
So
Love it.
yeah. So yeah, we had made a lot of decisions together for me to start my practice, and I had his support. And so when we decided that we were separating, that just came away in a hot second. And my safety and security was, and there was a piece of doing it alone. And, that the agreement that we had was that I would have support, and that support changed. And so again, safety and security, like, doing it alone, safety and security. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like when we start practicing and we start doing a business, like I'm smart and I can do things, but I hadn't done it before, and the support that I thought I would have literally fell away, so it was big.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I see that too. Like if we come back to old, deepest root cause belief of I'm unlovable, it will show up everywhere. And so it's like you got safety and security, but then also it's often where these deep unconscious core beliefs will really rear their head up in terms of like dysregulation and amplifying the experience that you're having. I don't know, like if this doesn't resonate, just say, but I would make sense of that too, where it's just like, I'm on my own. My marriage is just broken. Another piece of evidence, all happening underneath the surface, but another piece of evidence that I'm not lovable. Oh, I've just started a business, but there's no one here to support me. Where's my crew? Where's my tribe? I've been kicked out. From this like primal safety response of, I can definitely see how the unlovable stuff amplified everything that was going on. And then, when you're starting a new business, you're putting yourself out there and like fear of judgment and like, is anyone going to buy my thing? Does anyone want to work with me? I'm not getting enough clients yet. And so, it's all internalizing this deeper unconscious beliefs and wounds.
And I just want to add to that, Philly, like, yes, to everything that you said. Yeah. And there's, and what happened for me was that I wasn't aware of all that language that you just used, right?
Yeah.
How it showed up for me, why I say everything, it came up physically. Like that's when I began to become really inflamed. That's when my memory is a little bit hazy of like the timeline of health at times, but depression came up again, like physical symptoms in my body kept rising. I literally couldn't walk up or downstairs for a good 6 months because I was so inflamed.
Yeah.
So it came up physically in my body because it was like, you can't ignore this. It was so big, it's another big event, right?
Yeah.
And so the only way that my body could communicate to me was in physical symptoms.
Yeah.
And it was really hard because I was feeling like it was just everything all at once.
Yeah. And then it becomes this cyclical loop too of like low capacity. Now I can't do the things. Now how am I going to survive?
There was months where I'd come home and literally I would just watch Game of Thrones back to back every night.
Oh, wow.
Like I would actually come up and I would get up, I would go and do my work, and I would come home and I would be so exhausted that the only thing that I could do like was eat a block of chocolate because that would give me an energy spike, and I would watch Game of Thrones like maybe 3 like episodes a night, and I did that for months.
Yeah.
Because that was how I coped. That was all I could do, and because I had to get up and I had to go to work, right? So I had to survive, I had to live, I had to, and it was difficult, like having those symptoms and trying to do both.
Yeah. Okay. So fast forwarding back to the present, what does it look like for you to reprogram the deepest root cause belief, but also the rewiring and switching off and having physical change in your body? What does that look like for you in terms of practices, processes, or things that you've experienced that it's just like, wow, this is actually working?
I think this is what I've loved most about your program is that it's giving me these bite-sized chunks to like go, okay, if I want this, this is what it will look like. If I want to do, and then you guys layer it in, right? There's all these little insertions of like whether they're meditations, whether they're practices, whether it's like writing stuff down, but there's this halfway through your program, there's this reframe. So the reframe for me has been super powerful because it's been consistent. It's just been like little bite-sized chunks. And I feel like it's really helped me. Yeah, I feel like it's really helped me repattern how to like wholeheartedly love myself. Since like it wasn't long after, I reckon it was probably maybe 45, I made this commitment to myself that I was going to love myself. And that was too big a word for me. So all I could say was is that I was going to care for myself. That was the only thing I could kind of conceptualize, because I did it for other people. And your program has really given me the steps, really simple steps, my steps, right? Because it comes from me, of how to do that.
Yeah.
There was another piece there that I wanted to mention, but I can't remember all of you. I think there was 2 questions you had, right?
It was around reprogramming the deeper belief and then also the rewiring around like the physical body as well. So accessing the practices, the processes, the coaching frameworks to create physical change and healing in the body.
Yeah, that's been a really important piece for me as well, because what happened prior to doing Ending Body Burnout is that I would have a flare up and it would just activate like like here I am again. Like, it's happening to me, not for me, that kind of language. And so the physical side of it, it really got me to be in relationship with my symptoms and be curious about them, and that's what I've really, that's been, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, I can't think of the word, but that's been such a gift. That's not the word I wanted to use, but it's been such a gift because it's just giving me the tools and the language to really get more intimate with myself, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Like it's helped me bring it all together.
Yeah, it's aligning, unifying all parts of the body, which is
Right.
full and true embodiment. And yeah, so that's so beautiful. I'm curious because so far everything I'm hearing from you and also my experience of you the last 4 or so months is you lean in and you're like progressing and getting results. But has there been anything that's been challenging or hard? Okay. let's hear about that, because I think that that's really useful, because sometimes I remember when I was in my healing journey and I was just like almost like obsessively trying to find all these healing stories so I could get just so I could rewire my brain that it would be possible for me. And sometimes, some of the podcast stories, it's just like, oh, the lovely, wonderful stuff. And I did this and then I got this. And then it's like, and so it almost can set someone up for broken expectations, really. That it's like, all I have to do is show up, do the thing, and bang. So what were some challenges, and also how did you break through them?
I would say probably the challenges, there's probably 2 challenges. So the first one would be when I'd have a physical flare up and just having to really like not hate it and actually be curious about it and have enough capacity within myself to be able to do that. And then the second thing that was super challenge well that when I was challenged would be around, sometimes I'd come up to a module and I'd be like, you guys are there, like, just do this.
So easy.
Right. And I literally would look at the screen, or I'd look at my, what I had to do. And I'd be like, I don't even, like, if you asked me my name in that moment, I wouldn't have been able to answer that. Right. And so I had to, and that sometimes would go over, it'd show up in two ways. It would show up in some like, I just stare at the screen, or I'd get distracted and do something else. And I'd notice that and I'd be like, okay, well, this is obviously not easy for me right now. And so sometimes it would take 2 or 3 days to be feeling like that, to find the place within myself to be able to look at it again. And then when I looked at it again, I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. Why didn't that make sense the first time round? But it's almost, I think what it is like, actually what I'm speaking to, it's like the concept of what it is you're moving towards sometimes is so impossible to that part of you that's had a different experience. And so those parts come up, right? Of like, like, what if I fail? What if this doesn't work? What if I get it wrong, right? Like all the what ifs that come in. And so really it's like trusting, like just tracking that, just noticing it and going, okay, Amanda, you're avoiding doing the thing right now, and allowing myself to avoid it and just be curious about why I was avoiding it. And knowing that, I was going to come back to it. And that's where your weekly calls are so good. It has that kind of like that little point in your week where you're like, well, I could show up and not do the thing, but that really is going to be, that's a waste of my time. Right.
Yeah.
So that would always kind of keep me moving. So yeah, that would be the thing, like being gentle with my process and just recognizing that you don't have to do it all, which was hard for me, right? Because I'm such a perfectionist. I don't have to do all the things all the time. I have to trust when my timing's right. And that's sometimes really hard medicine to swallow for me. That like, be patient and be tender with yourself. And I would also say it's something that's really deepened, like that tenderness for myself has really deepened through doing this process, which I've really enjoyed.
I love it. It's so good. Were you about to say something? You're like,
No. I'm enjoying tracking and hearing the story. I feel like a podcast listener today in our conversation. It's been awesome. I'm enjoying it.
So do I, actually. I'm kind of like, forget that I'm the interviewer. I'm just like, when you're like in it and you're not thinking about the next question. It's just like, They're like, oh, hang on, now I have to say something. What I love about what you just said too, and this is where I find that clients can get a bit hung up, is that they go into the work with so much self-judgment. It's just like all like enforce, and then shame and guilt if they're resisting or avoiding. They can't even use that language yet, like resisting or avoiding. It's just like, oh, there's something wrong with me. Why can't I just do the thing? Right. So like, I think like there's some lovely learning in what you just shared, is that the faster that you can let that go and just kind of like meet the resistance, let it be there, let it percolate. Because the more you fight against it, the more there will be resistance. But the more you kind of hold space for it and just like, hey, I see you, you're here. What am I afraid of? Or you were talking about the parts, like what parts of me are showing up right now that are preventing me from doing this. Often just being able to hold space and just allowing it to be there for a few hours or a few days is often enough for it to start dissolving. And then it's like, okay, I can move forward now. It's safe to move forward.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the curiosity that will allow you to heal. The self-judgment will also put the block up.
That was a word that kept coming up to me when you were speaking. I was like, curiosity is key, right? It's like
Yeah.
actually, oh, like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I having this experience? Why am I resisting? And I don't always have an answer to that, but it's
Mm.
like, I think enough of like it, whether we're conscious, or for me, whether I'm consciously working through it, I'm unconsciously working through it, whether I know it or not.
Mm.
And sometimes my system needs days, to like work through it.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Coming up to our last question. So, what do you feel was different about our ending body burnout method?
What's different about your ending body burnout method? It's thorough, like it's super thorough. It's got, so it's what I mean by that, done lots of different modalities, lots of different courses, programs. And what's different about what you guys have put together is you really have thought about, it's holistic,
Mm.
right? There's like bite-sized chunks that are structured and laid out in a certain way for your deepest healing.
Mm.
Um, it's all available online that you can plug into at any time, and then you can plug into you guys when you need. I really like that structure. I don't feel like I want to say I'm super fussy. And I don't I kind of struggle to say that, and I'm trying to find a different way of saying it, but um I enjoy detail,
Mm. Same.
right? And so that's what's different. Like that speaks to me about your program, is it's detailed,
Mm.
and there's a lot, it's always there for you. It's always there for you. And that to me is priceless.
Mm.
Because I enjoy being able to understand. And so you've got so much material there to understand. And then, we've always got you guys to kind of lean on when we don't understand, right? So um yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm a very detailed person. I'm like, there needs to be a step here and then here and then here. Chris is more kind of like big picture. So actually we really complement each other, because I think if our program was just very detailed, then it'd probably lose the essence of what we're trying to do. To probably be like, can you do this and then you tick this off? Whereas, yeah. So thank you.
And the details are important, right? Because they're the steps.
Yeah.
They're the steps. And when you don't know the steps, there's so much grace in not having to figure out the steps. That's what's different about you guys.
Mm.
The steps are there. You just have to follow them. You just have to do one at a time,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 months into your ending body burnout journey, what does your body feel like, your health, your life feel like now, today?
It's been yeah, it's been quite profound, and I want to answer it in two ways. So I think my physical symptoms have definitely, like, I think they're probably about 30% of, like, I'm experiencing them at a 30% level than what I was when they were like 100. Like I was, and I still have flare-ups. Um, but I'm just curious about them. I've got some, protocols in place that I can address them. And then on the other side, some really fundamental, I had to look back at where I started
Mm.
and what I wanted out of this program. And one of the things is that I just wanted to show up to
Mm.
the things that were important to me, that I believed were important in achieving the outcome that I want to see. And I am exercising daily, which I
Awesome.
wasn't doing. And something like I want to share, that this is quite profound for me, because I've been an emotional eater
Mm.
all my life. And so that means that would look like never just having one piece of chocolate. It would look at like having the whole block of chocolate, and it would be in one sitting without even kind of looking twice at it, you know, like it would just be kind of vacuumed in a second. And then I'd be like, oh, where did that go? And over the last couple of weeks, I've really, um, yeah, I've gone to the shops and I've looked at that. I mean, you know, because what I would do is this is what I would do. I would go, oh, I need paper towel.
Mm.
Actually, the voice behind that would be like, oh, we can get some chocolate.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Two
off
for
I try
one.
now, right? We're fully going there to get the
Mm.
chocolate, right? And I've had this experience in the last couple of weeks, and I literally stood in front of the chocolate aisle and then I'd walk away. And it wasn't making myself walk away, it was actually like nothing appealed.
Yeah.
Um, and I want to say I've also allowed myself to have the chocolate
Mm.
without it being vacuumed in 1 second, without, so that they're really what I'm speaking to is like this self-honoring self-care piece of like, you know, like I've got enough within me without having to use these other substances, whatever they are, to fill my time. And that's so meaningful to me because it was when coming into this process, you know, there's lots of ways that I would choose to check out, whether it was like watching TV, whether it was eating, whatever the thing. But I've, I'm really, it's clear to me what accesses joy for me or love.
Mm.
And, you know, one of them is cooking whole food, which I've always done, but now I'm taking real joy in doing that and tasting it and experiencing it. So my relationship with food is changing.
So cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it's, you know, for me, again, it's like a self-love piece.
Yeah.
It's like I'm actually honoring, it's not honoring, it's like I am well, it is. I'm honoring the things that are super important to me that I want to move towards, you know, that I identify as love, and I'm not carrying out the ones that, you know, it's not perfect, it's not seamless. I still have, you know, I ebb and flow between the two.
Mm.
But yeah, that's what it's looking like for me. And it just, it softens me. Like even describing it to you guys, I feel soft, you know? And I know that I care for myself, and that was one of my probably biggest bugbears coming in is that I could see the ways that I wasn't caring for myself, and now I can see the ways that I am caring for myself, and I'm doing more of them without having to do it from a place of force or because I have to. I'm doing it
Mm.
because I want to and because I'm important, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah.
So good.
Soft, squishy, nice.
Lovely.
I think of that as just the most beautiful, most feminine thing to say, you know, whereas before there was loathing and disgust and
Force
shame and
myself to
force.
do the thing.
Yeah, but then what you've just said there is acceptance, it's love, it's, you didn't say this, but squishy, smushy. That's they're Chris words for what you've just said. And
I was gonna say, is that how you're feeling, Chris? Is that
yeah,
how-
well, yeah, totally. I feel like such a beautiful, loving, cuddly way of thinking about yourself. You know, like it's accepting. I love that. I love that for you. It's I enjoy this experience of you. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
Okay, we'd love to hear your last words of wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
So for those who are listening, who might be really resonating with your story, but struggling in their own health issues, their own body burnout, patterns that are associated to it. And also for those who kind of feel like they've tried a lot of things or like there's not much hope left. What words of wisdom could you share?
The thing that comes up for me is it's actually a Richard Buck quote where he's like, you're not given the dream of anything that you don't have the tools. It's not quite right, but like the ability to make it happen. Right. So the people that are listening to this would not be in your sphere if they weren't wanting something more. And I want to say to them, believe that, follow that until the day you die, because that is what's going to get you where you want to be. That's, it's possible, it's available. And our body is this incredible piece of artistry, really, that has so many components all working for us. And we forget that when we become unwell. And so whatever, they're here for a reason. They're in your audience for a reason. And I just want to say, keep following that voice or that whisper in their head that just won't give up, because that is the thing that's going to see you heal.
I love it. Amen.
So nice.
Oh, thank you so much for
Thanks,
being so generous with your time, and also the detail in which you shared your story, I think, is so lovely and important. And I feel like again, if I put myself back into my own shoes when I was very unwell, I was listening to these stories and being able to try them on for myself. It's like I can feel that, and I think that is possible. And oh my gosh, there are other people who are doing this. So I know that you're giving a gift to so many people by sharing this. All right. I'm also going to pop your change of balance. So that's your kinesiology website in the show notes. So if anyone wants to learn a bit more about you or reach out to you, that's a good way of doing it, or finding you. Yeah,
absolutely. And I just want to say thank you. You guys have really put your heart and soul into this. I see that, I feel that, I receive that every week. And I just really appreciate how you guys have brought this all together. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. Well, let's wrap this one up. Everybody, hope you've enjoyed today's podcast episode, and we hope we get to catch you on the next one. Thank you, Amanda, again, and have the best week ever, guys.
Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you. If you'd like to give us extra smiles, drop us a review and spread the love by sharing this episode.
You can also rate your own state of burnout and the root cause contributors by taking our Ending Body Burnout Assessment on our website. And if you're interested in learning about our group or one-on-one Ending Body Burnout programs, shoot us a DM via Instagram or Facebook.
Have the best day ever.